Welcome to the Breech Birth podcast. I'm Sasha Hopkins, private midwife, breech birth educator, and your host. This is a space to hear the real, raw, and powerful stories of women who have experienced breech birth in all its layers. Each episode features honest conversations with women who've experienced breech firsthand, offering insight and reflection. This podcast was born from the knowing that these stories need to be heard to inform, connect, and reclaim the story of breech birth. Whether you're navigating breech birth yourself, supporting others, or simply curious, welcome and thank you. Hi, Laura. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey,
Thanks for joining me. So before we jump into your story, just a couple of context questions to get a bit of a snapshot of what to expect. What location were you in when you had your breech baby?
United States, Mississippi.
Mississippi. Beautiful. And how many weeks were you when you had your baby?
44.
And what sort of care did you receive in your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum?
Midwifery care.
And you had a vaginal birth at home?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. Before you jump into your story, do you want to just share a little bit of a snapshot about yourself to let the listeners know who you are?
Sure. So I am 25, and this was me and my husband's first child. We have a little farm in Alabama, and we just love everything outdoors. Try to do everything as naturally as possible.
Amazing. And so this was your first pregnancy. So what did that look like for you at the beginning? Was it planned? Did you know you wanted a home birth at the start? What sort of influence did you have around at the beginning of your pregnancy?
So it was planned. We actually decided we were going to start trying whenever we were in Australia. So we came back over, we started trying, and I got pregnant, and I had a very easy pregnancy. So I didn't have any morning sickness or really any issues. Things just went steady along up until about 28 weeks whenever we found out he was breech.
And did you have midwifery care from the beginning? Or was that something that came later?
Yes, so I knew right away that I wanted a midwife, and I had been looking at one before I even got pregnant. So she started my care at 6 weeks.
And did she see you at home or did you go to the clinic space that she had?
So she has a home that she rents out, and she kind of uses that as like an office. So that's where I went for my care.
Beautiful. And so you had an overall well pregnancy. Did you choose to have ultrasounds or blood tests or anything in your pregnancy?
I got 2 ultrasounds at the clinic, and then I did a couple at like smaller places just to look at gender, just to check up. Other than that, I think I did 1 round of blood work, and that's it.
Beautiful. And so found out baby was breech at, did you say 28 weeks?
Yes.
And so was that just the midwife feeling your belly? Like how did that play out?
Yeah, so I went, and I just happened to ask her, what position is he in? And she was like, oh, that's the head. And then I was like, okay, well, is this okay? She told me, breech is just a variation of normal. And, we'll just see how it goes. Every checkup, he stayed. So I was doing all the things, and he was not moving.
I know in America, some midwives have like a little handheld sonography machine. Did she check with that or was it just through palpation with her hands?
She checked with that.
Okay. And what kind of conversations did she have? Did she encourage you to do any education once you realised this baby is staying in this position?
It's from the beginning. It was almost like I knew he was going to be breech from the beginning. Because I said, oh, if he's breech, I'll just birth him. And so I told her that. She gave me some handouts from evidence-based births. And she told me to check out Dr. Stu. And she's actually trained by Breech Without Voice. So she told me to look on there. I listened to a lot of Dr. Stu's podcasts. And looked through Breech Without Board and their studies, and then also looked at some studies on my own. And I just decided it was the right. Just felt like it was very asymptomatic.
It's great. What did the end of your pregnancy and the labour look like? How did that all begin?
So, I was actually in early labor November 1st through the 5th, and I didn't know. So I just kept with my usual activities. Actually, the day before my active labor started, I was outside feeding animals and just doing all of my normal chores. And um, I think my labor started, I mean, it was really just easy, let's just say. Once my active labor started around 10 o'clock at night, 9 or 10, I was just having some, they were cramps, but it was enough to make me kind of stop and be like, whoa, that's not normal. It's just that I can feel it. So I texted my doula around 10 and I told her, hey, I'm having some stuff going on. I don't know if it's going to turn into anything. I was just not convinced that I was over. I thought it was just going to go away. So she texts me back, how things go. So I just laid in the bed, rest. They pretty much stay about 3 minutes apart. My whole labor, pretty much. They were about a minute and a half, 2 to 3 minutes apart. So I was just laying in the bed, eventually, just sunshine while we were still at home. And the reason why I say that is because breech homebirth is illegal in Alabama. So
Okay.
once I got far enough along, I had to go to the house that my midwife has in Mississippi because it's legal there. So
So how far is that for you? How far a drive would that?
it's a little under an hour.
Yeah, okay.
So it's kind of confusing. Well, I was at home, but I wasn't at my home.
Yeah.
So we were at my house and I was laying in bed, just kind of tolerating through it. I was always in the living room, like on his phone. And eventually I was like, hey, I need you to come in here. This isn't going away. So I got the birth call. That was my lifesaver. I was trying to leave my whole body relaxed, other than my arms. I was squeezing the birth ball. And once it got closer to around 1 o'clock, I told him, I was like, hey, would you like to put some pressure on my lower back? So he was doing that. And my midwife had told me, if you feel like you need to get in the bathtub, you need to come on to my guest house. So I had the thought, I was like, getting in the bathtub would really feel good right now. So my husband was like, okay, I'm the doula. So at around 1:30, he called her and my midwife, and they both were like, let's just start heading over to the guest house, just take your time. So we packed up everything and we started the 11-hour drive over there. My contractions were intense, but it was never as bad as I expected it was going. I'll say that labor is like the worst thing that you will ever experience in your life. It sounds so scary. Up until 5 minutes before he came out, I was like, when is it going to get worse? The president that I couldn't handle, and I just felt to just stay in my lap, like my body, because it made a big difference. So in the truck ride over there, I was just trying to leave my body as relaxed as possible. And my husband's like speeding over there. We got to the guest house, and I think we ended up getting there at around 3 o'clock. So we get everything unloaded, and I hadn't been checked because I was at my house. I really found it helpful to stand up during contractions. So I was standing up, leaning on the bed, and like lifting my legs for some reason. Well, the body knows what to do. I think I sat on the bed for a while. I went to the bathroom. I felt like I needed to pee. I come out of the bathroom. My doula, she was like, "Why don't we try to sit on the birth ball? Let's try to sit on the birth ball for a contraction." It was so like hard. It was so so. My husband let some air out of the birth ball, and I stood up, and my water broke. So we had only been there for about an hour. So this is like probably like 4 o'clock in the morning. And at that point, I was I asked my midwife, "Hey, can you check me?" I was asking my doula, it's like, "How far along do you think I am?" And she was like, I was having my contractions. I was breathing through them. And then in between, I was just fine. And I could answer some questions. She was like, "Oh, well, you're probably like a 7." And I was like, "Okay, well, let's check and see." So my midwife comes in there and she checks me, and I was a 9. I didn't hear her at first. So I just kind of kept doing my thing. And my boss was like, "Well, since your water broke, just put in the birth pool and, we'll just do it for giggles," because we had that all set up. So I got in the birth pool for a few contractions and they started getting a little bit harder. I just had to really focus through the end of them. So I told my doula, I said, "I really hope I'm making progress." And she was like, "Girl, you are 9 centimeters." Just shut up. Like I was not expecting it at all. But I was just like, "Whoa, I've already made it here." Like this was not what I was expecting. So I started to feel like I needed to push a couple contractions, but it wasn't strong. So my midwife does not deliver breech in the birth, just in case. So I went ahead and got out, and I tried pushing bed. I was like, I feel like I need to stand up. So uh, husband, I just kind of like put my arms on him and hung from his collar on his shirt, like in a squatting position. And so I pushed for a little while. And then I think I pushed, I said, for 59 minutes. I moved to like all fours. I did the running man position for a couple of inches. And once it started to rock, my midwife was like, "You've got 6 minutes to deliver this baby." It was just on from there. So it started rumping. I guess I didn't know exactly how to push right. A lot of first time moms have that problem. Before he started to rump, she put her fingers on the spot and she started, "Push here." So it was like, once he started to rump, it was waiting time. Bottom came out, and I did another push and then my knee up to my chest on the floor, like kind of like a lunge. His legs came out. He was front boots. So his legs were delivered. His body kind of came out. And then, so I swapped legs in the lunge position and did my other leg. And his shoulders started to come out. And his hand was by his face. So she kind of just pulled his hand in. And I had told my husband, I said that once it gets to the end, like I'm going to be tired and I'm going to need you to probably yell at me like a football coach. And so he was ready. So once he got to his hand, I was so tired. I can't imagine people pushing because I know they're just so exhausted. So from here on, like Miss Nose down was out. And so my husband just screamed at me to push. So I pushed with everything that was in me because I did not have a contraction. And my midwife did a chest press to help me get his head off because I was just so tired. My husband said he kind of like hit the ground a little bit. So whenever he hit the ground, he went, "Eh." So he knew that he was okay. It did end up having to just suction him a little bit. He was a little wet, but other than that, he didn't lose much tone. Actually came out in 5 minutes. So from rump to birth. And luckily he's perfectly healthy. We had no issues.
And what did that immediate postpartum look like? Did you have skin to skin? Did you breastfeed?
Yeah. So immediately my midwife handed him to me, and I put him like on my chest and held him for a little while, and he was just crying. And we waited until his cord was white. We did delayed cord clamping, and my husband got to cut his cord and hold him while the midwife and Vila assisted me to the bed. So I just got to lay there with him for hours, skin to skin, and my doula helped me latch him. So he did get to breastfeeding for a little while, and I think that was really beneficial. And then I think it took an hour for me to deliver the placenta, and I didn't have much bleeding or anything.
Amazing. Did you do anything special with the placenta? Bury it, throw it in the bin, eat it?
We didn't. Actually, I was in such the golden hour, I really wasn't thinking about it. A few weeks later, at one of my postpartum visits, I asked my midwife if I could see a picture of it, just because I was curious. Yeah, that's whenever I saw it.
And how did your breastfeeding journey go?
Breastfeeding has been really good. Luckily, he didn't have any issues latching. I still breastfeed him, and he is almost 6 weeks. We are going through religion hour the past couple of weeks there, so that's a journey.
Yeah, it's a fun time. Having the experience that you've had and the journey that you've had with a breech baby, if you fell pregnant again, had another breech baby, would you do anything differently?
I think so. I think I would do everything the same. Even though he was breech, I felt like I was very lucky with his delivery and my labor. I had a pretty short active labor. I think it was like 10 or 11 hours. I just enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, amazing for first baby.
I could say I would save myself from doing all of the flipping a breech baby. I would save myself that. Um, because I started out with 31 weeks and I did it all the way up until I was doing Webster chiropractic. I was doing acupuncture. I was taking pulsatilla, spinning babies, floating in water, inversions. I did everything, and I wish I just would have rested a little bit more.
Yeah, I've heard that a few times from other mums where they've just been gung ho of trying to turn baby, and then they're like, oh, it didn't work anyway. I could have relaxed. I could have just savored the pregnancy.
Yes.
And so, how long did your midwife see you? Is that care completed now?
My last appointment with her was tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. So they do 6 weeks as well.
So we saw her at, I think, yes, she came to our house 48 hours after birth. And then we saw her at 2 weeks and then 6 weeks.
Beautiful. So for women listening, you mentioned some of the resources before, but just a bit of a refresh for women. If they've got a breech baby on board, what kind of resources would you recommend to them?
We would recommend listening to as many birth stories like yours.
Yeah. Breech Birth podcast, plug that.
That's what I did. I did a lot of breech birth stories, and I only listened to the positive ones. If they want to do like whatever kind of birth they want to do, vaginal or hospital at home, listen to those stories. Also, Dr. Stu, his podcast.
So that's birthing instincts for those listening.
He really normalizes breech birth and takes the fear out of it. So I would definitely recommend that. And then a couple studies online. I know NIH has study, and evidence-based birth has a couple on there. I would do that. Just familiarize yourself with as much as possible so that you feel really comfortable with your body and your baby.
Do you have any words of wisdom or advice that you'd like to give them? Doesn't have to be breech specific, just anything that you'd like to share with them now.
I will say specific. Just trust your body and your baby. Your baby knows best. The reason why, if they want to be born breech, sometimes that's the best way for them to come out. So that's really just the advice I would give them.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Laura. It's been beautiful to listen to.
Thank you for letting me talk about it.
Thank you for listening to the Breech Birth podcast. These stories matter. They stretch what we think we know and bring voice to experiences that need to be heard. I'm so grateful to the women who have shared their experiences with us, raw, real, and full of wisdom. If this episode resonated with you, please follow, share, or leave a review. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Breech Birth Podcast. And if you have a breech story to share, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, may we continue to reclaim the narrative, one story at a time.